Tech publication The Verge claimed to have acquired details of an internal presentation made back in February by Mark Rabkin, the vice president for VR at Meta, in which he stated that Meta plans to release a headset in 2024 that's more accessible than the Quest 3, and it's apparently codenamed Project Ventura. I love the idea of watching films in the Quest 2 or even the Oculus Go, and sometimes I do, but I constantly yearn for a less blurry, less smeary, much more physically comfortable experience, and so I don't do it as often as I'd hoped. I've been considering buying the new Quest 3, which I would use mainly for watching films, chatting to people in big screen and a bit of Google Earth VR and things like that. I'm not really a gamer, but I do dabble in some VR experiences where I can just be in a scenic location and enjoy my surroundings. So for me, the performance and features of the Quest 3 and the price of it here in Canada feel like overkill for my use. I would only be using a fraction of the potential of this device, and I fear I will have paid this large sum of money for features I have very little interest in, like mixed reality and playing big game titles. But enter the Quest 3 Lite, a stripped-down version rumored to be hitting the market next year for just $200 US. That price is a bit hard for me to believe, but even at $250, it would be an amazing purchase. If it's the same physical form as the Quest 3, it's much more comfortable than the Quest 2, and it has the new pancake lenses to escape the blurriness and sweet spot problems of the previous headsets. So the question is, how could Meta make such a device at such a low price without going back to selling at a loss? Well, I think they could reuse the chip and display from the Quest 2, omit the color pass-through because those color cameras are expensive, omit the depth sensor, and offer it without controllers, relying on a better version of hand tracking instead, like Apple's Vision Pro is doing, and then have the option to buy controllers later if you want. I think if they did that, they might be able to get the price down to the $200 to $250 range. But in my opinion, not having controllers would put a lot of people off, even people like me who don't do much gaming, because even just trying to fast forward a movie without a controller is difficult, never mind gaming. Getting rid of the color pass-through would save on production cost, but it would mean this headset would not be able to promote Meta's big push towards mixed reality and get the newbies involved in that ecosystem. So that might not make the most sense for their long-term goal of having 3 to 5 billion people permanently living in mixed reality where everything they do, see, hear and say can be logged and monetized by Meta and monitored by 3-letter agencies for our safety. For me, I'd be absolutely stoked if I could get a headset for $250 that's basically a Quest 3 body and lenses with Quest 2 internals, because all I really want is much better comfort and no more blurriness. And without the higher performance internals, cameras and depth sensor, it could be made lighter than the Quest 3 and even lighter than the Quest 2, making it the most comfortable standalone headset since the Go. As for the validity of these rumors, I think it makes sense. With the large price increase of the Quest 3, I can't imagine it's going to sell as well as the Quest 2. And I don't think it's going to be the headset that brings the VR curious into the world of VR. And I think Meta really wants to get as many people as possible into its VR and MR ecosystem. Enthusiasts are surely going to love it and buy it, but it might be just too expensive for the average person to take a gamble on. So I think a lower cost alternative likely is going to happen. So what about you? Which components do you think Meta would sacrifice to build a low-cost Quest 3 Lite in an attempt to target the masses? Are you getting the Quest 3 or are you skipping it to wait for this rumoured cheaper version next year? Or maybe you're avoiding Meta entirely and waiting for the Pico 5? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.